Hi again, and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host Svempa, and I'm here with Mr. Lettuce
Hey,
and Dope.
I'm
And
back.
yeah, he's back. Where were you?
Well, real life took a toll, and I had to deal with some shit. And I've been spending all my time at my girlfriend's house, and I just got my setup here. So
Yeah, you're
I'm
welcome
Gucci.
back.
Thanks.
hell yeah.
And I want to apologize because of the lack of quality in our previous episode. There was some really sketchy stuff going on, but we managed to fix it for this time. I hope.
Hell yeah, my mic won't be fucking peaking constantly this episode, which is
And
which
mine
is a
won't
perk.
sound
Always
like a
a plus.
fucking military radio.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna improve the sound quality with every episode. Obviously, we all go back and listen to our podcasts and see what we can improve on. So, if you just stick with us, we promise we will deliver a satisfying product at the end of it.
Yes.
Oh,
And as
yeah.
you might hear, today I'm a little bit tired, which brings us to the topic of today, alcohol versus weed. So I know we all are major league stoners, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. What do you prefer, alcohol or weed?
I mean, hands down, I'm gonna prefer fucking weed any day. Although I've drank my fair share of
same.
alcohol.
Yeah.
I knew that answer.
Yeah, no. Alcohol's yeah, it's got a lot of it's got way more cons than pros, in my opinion. If you know,
I
in the
agree.
context of weed versus alcohol.
Yeah,
And I don't like the person I become when I drink alcohol. Like it's
Yeah,
a
me neither.
completely different person than I want to be in real life.
I don't think nobody does.
I mean, a lot of people drink every fucking Friday, so they gotta like something.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, like there are a bunch of cons, like because I feel like the cons are so fucking bad. One of the biggest con for me, which kind of leads to all the other cons, is that I can't fucking stop when I drink, right? And you know, if I'm at a party, I don't know, I'm at a huge risk of getting like multiple STDs because I just grab drinks and run. And
Yeah.
you know,
And
in the
also,
morning,
it gives you like this false sense of security, like confidence, and sometimes you get dependent on having alcohol in order to feel like
Yeah.
you can do
Yeah.
stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I remember like one night just sitting chilling with my buddies, and I started, you know, drinking liquor, which fucking fucks me up. And when I woke up in the morning, I wasn't inside anymore. I was outside. My fucking knee was just fucked. I had the worst headache. I was throwing up. Like shit was just bad. And I didn't not know how it even happened. That's never happened after a night of weed smoking for me, at least.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I've coughed so much I threw up from weed, but that's a different story.
yeah. That I think that's the major argument in the alcohol versus weed debate is the hangover, definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, the reason you get drunk in the first place is because your body is fighting the toxins in the alcohol, right? Like that's what gives you the feeling of being drunk. It like
Yeah.
literally fucks your brain up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
you get poisoned, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fucking
alcohol is a
great
poison.
Friday night, boys. Let's get poisoned.
Like, yeah, it's just like, it's both like that with alcohol and also tobacco. It's literally a poison that, you know, it fucks your nerve system up. But, like, for weed, you know, it just amplifies your brain, basically. Which is, you know, a different
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
Not to glorify weed. Weed has its cons for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it depends what you're comparing it to. If you compare the cons of weed to the cons of peanuts, then you might think weed is a bit worse.
Yeah.
But if you
yeah.
compare weed to heroin or alcohol, the facts states themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely, that's a very good point, yes.
All of a sudden, I feel like shit for sipping this rum.
Yeah.
well, you're
yeah.
allowed to do whatever makes you feel good, even if it's shooting heroin in your ball sack or drinking
Oh,
a rum.
Jesus Christ.
You know, whatever makes you feel good, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's your body and your decision. And, you know, today we're basically going to talk about why we personally almost, like either thing. And I think a lot of people will kind of identify with what we all say. And I kind of have the feeling, you know, we all are in a different place. For example, like the biggest reason I don't like alcohol is because I get fucking hurt when I drink, physically, and it's because I'm for some reason I'm fucking hungover for days after. Like I can be hungover for a couple days, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, my hangovers last between 1 to 3 days usually, depending on how hard I went.
Yeah.
Today is the longest hangover I've ever had, and it's been the entire day.
Well, you're lucky then.
How
But,
often do you drink alcohol, just out of curiosity, Simple?
I would say maybe every other weekend, and it's not even like going out. I only go out like once a month. But when I'm home, I like crack open a beer for dinner and
Okay,
drink a
so
whiskey in the evening.
would it be fair to say that you're keeping your alcohol tolerance relatively above average all the time because you're indulging in alcohol more often?
I'm actually a real lightweight because of medicine I ate
Okay.
medicine I ate, so I'm really lightweight when it comes to alcohol.
Okay, cool. And how about you, Salad? I mean, Mr. Sorry, Salad is my personal nickname. Right.
well, I try not to drink. I mean, the only time I really drink is in social situations where I can't smoke. For example, if it's like a party in a park or something, in the
Yeah.
summer, I'm not gonna whip out a joint in a public park in an illegal country. So, I mean, if I have to drink, it's probably maybe like 4 or 5 times a year, and most of those
Okay,
times are in the summer. Yeah,
cool.
I'm
I
I'm
usually
also super
drink.
lightwite as well, because
Yeah.
I'm short and I don't fucking work out. So
Okay. Personally, I don't drink ever anymore, but when I used to drink, it was like maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and then I would get blasted off my fucking ass every time. Like I would drink a liter of scotch, like don't give a fuck, man. I would just go balls to the wall, ape shit, and my body would hate me for a week, and then I
yeah,
wouldn't drink for like 6 months, and then
I
someone's
can
birthday comes
identify
up,
with
and
that. Yeah,
yeah. But I also am like a big ass heavyweight drink. I can drink so much and I don't feel shit. And then as soon as I like cross the hurdle or sort of like cross a specific line of drunkenness, I either black out or I just fall asleep.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's also the thing with me. Like, I kind of have this. I call it the train wreck moment because I mean, if I'm drinking beer, I mean, I won't be drunk or like even tipsy, but I'll feel that I have drunk one beer. Like I'll
Mm,
notice it, and the same for two
yeah.
beers, for 3 beers. But I can take 7 shots of vodka or even down a bottle of vodka, and I'll feel fine, maybe a little bit tipsy, and then suddenly it just hits me, the fucking freight
Yeah.
train, and I just
Yeah.
go downhill. I mean, I start fucking staggering around. Once I was at my friend's cabin and I sat down, drank like 4 beers and about a bottle of vodka, and and when I got up, I just fucking hit the floor instantly, pretty much.
Yeah,
But
I've had a
yeah,
couple of those moments as well.
yeah,
Like last time I drank alcohol. We was at this party and hadn't eaten dinner or anything. I was just like, I'll just go there and just hang out. I don't have to drink because I haven't eaten anything. Yada yada. But I get there and one of my best friends from high school was there and we haven't seen each other in like a year. And he was like, "Yo, what's up?" I was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna end bad because now we're in the same room."
Yeah.
And then it did. I just chugged a vodka monster on empty stomach and passed out in the bedroom, like a bathroom. It was horrible.
yeah, but like if you sit down and drink, when you stand up, you're gonna feel dizzy. I
Yeah.
Yeah,
drank and
yeah.
what did I drink? Fuck, I can't remember. An Aperol Spritz. Yeah, I drank an Aperol Spritz and I stood up and I fucking fell over at a bar.
Yeah, yeah. That's a rule I have right now. If I absolutely have to drink, is that I never drink liquor sitting, because, it won't hit me before I stand up, and that's the insane thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. The worst part is when you're like sitting in, like if you're having, like me and a couple of buddies, we used to have like this drinking games where we were playing World of Warcraft, right? So we were sitting for hours and just taking shots every time something happens. And the worst part is when you sit down and you feel like you're gonna fall over, you're like, how the fuck am I gonna get to bed? Like I'm falling over sitting down, man. What the?
Yeah, yeah. I have a question for you, both of you guys. What's the most hurt you have gotten when, when out drinking? It doesn't really matter if you're at a party or anything, but what's the
Hurt? Do you mean like
yeah.
getting into a fight or something?
No, not necessarily, but what's, baddest damage you've gotten physically? Like, falling over, breaking a limb, getting stabbed by something, not necessarily someone. I mean, has that ever happened to any of you? And, what's the story?
Mm, I need a moment to think about this actually.
What about
I
you,
have
Sopa?
I have a story. I was at the bartending event. I was like bartending, standing behind the bar, flipping bottles and shit. And I make a Mai Tai, which has very strong rum on top that you can light on fire. You can probably see where this is going.
Oh, shit.
So we light it with a Zippo lighter, and we place that at the bar. And then I lean over to the bar to ask another guy what he wants, and I put my arm up against the lighter, which is hot.
Oof.
And I still have scars, like burn marks on my arm.
Oh,
Damn.
shit. So that lighter was lit for a very
A
long time
second
then.
degree burn, man. What the fuck? Mixing
Yeah.
drink.
It was like
Even
blistering
the
and stuff.
process of making alcohol is dangerous, man. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I'll admit I've had drunken a couple of drinks myself, so
Yeah.
I was not sober
Ah.
doing this.
Guys,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the only thing I can really think of is like when me and a couple of friends we were kind of drunk. Like like this was I was like 16 at this time. Like we couldn't legally buy alcohol, so we just took some homemade 80% shit and mixed it with soda, and thought it was a good idea. And then we had a couple of those. And we were pretty tipsy, and we decided that we're gonna tag a building with spray cans, right? Because that's what we do when you're 16, right? We're skating,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're cool as fuck. Of course, we're gonna tag a building. Let's go. So we do, and someone is walking to us, and my friend screams to me like, "Oh, someone's coming! Run!" And then we run, and I try to jump a fence, and my foot gets caught in the fence, and I face plant on the ground. Like
Oh,
that's the only thing I can remember. Like I chipped my lip. I was bleeding out of my like eye socket because I hit something, but like
oh.
nothing worse than that. But that's all I can
Damn.
think of.
I have two stories, and they're both pretty embarrassing. I have kind of told one of them, which is when I fell and fucked my knee up and woke up outside. But the other is kind of, it's a long time ago. I was actually very young. I think I was 14, and when you're 14, you do a lot of stupid shit. So
Agreed.
basically, I made what I called a 14-year-old cocktail, and that is finding a liquor cabinet, skimming off the top of every bottle, basically mixing 7 types of liquor, right? And for those of you who don't know, mixing liquor basically makes it that more potent. Like, it will fuck you up even more.
Yeah, for sure.
So I did that, and I remember, I was outside, just fucking around. I managed to get home somehow, but basically, my room setup is that my bed and my desk is kind of next to each other. So to get into my bed, I kind of have to pass my desk. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, I kind of just fall into my bed, but my belly gets caught on the corner of my desk, which is glass, and I fucking cut up my
No.
stomach. Well, it actually didn't pierce my skin, but it basically just like fucking it bruised my skin like a cut. And I remember just waking up with the most fucking intense pain. And it was very very strange because I was so drunk I didn't even feel it when it happened, but I remember just waking up the next day. I pissed myself, by the way, because why not? I'm fucking super drunk, right? Like,
Wait, like legit pissed yourself.
yeah, I pissed myself. I fucking in my bed too. Like I've done it multiple times, but it's always like outside or in water or something. But fucking, pissing your bed is not that fun. You
No.
don't feel like $1,000,000 a day after doing that. So
That's a fact. I haven't pissed in my bed, but I slept next to someone who peed the bed. And
Oh,
that was pretty nasty.
that's awkward. That's very awkward.
Yeah.
All right, but to end the roast of alcohol, do you guys find any pros in alcohol versus weed?
Not over weed per se, but I can see the pros in alcohol. Like I can see how one drink can make you chattier, like easier, outgoing and talkative and stuff. And that can be great in social situations, right? Like if you're trying to make friends, if you're I don't know, if you're mingling at your work after work or whatever, it's you get to know people better. You talk more and you be more open. And I can see
Facts.
the pros of that for sure. But not I mean weed does the same thing, right? Like so not over weed, but there's definitely some pros to
Yeah.
moderational alcohol intake, I'd say.
Yeah,
My biggest pro for alcohol is that it creates the best stories. Because, you know, the best stories I have involve some bodily fluid and a lot of alcohol. And, you know, I've gotten a few of them, all while being pissed drunk. And I've got pictures that remind me of the stories, but not a lot of memories. So it's, it's pretty
But that
good.
kind of segues us into this next topic that I want to bring up is okay, we've roasted alcohol now. We've done some stupid shit on alcohol. But you know what else makes you do stupid shit? Marijuana. So let's get into it. What's the stupidest thing you've ever done while high?
I flicked the light switch to turn off my kitchen tap.
That's
was like-
pretty stupid.
I was like making tea or what? No, I was cooking ramen and I was filling up the water kettle, and I put it on and I see the faucet's still on, like, you know. And then and I go over to the wall and I flick the light switch. I was like, why did nothing happen? Oh, I'm fucking high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I remember in my first days of smoking the good grain. It was literally my second time, I think. My friend invited me down to downtown my city, and you know downtown in my city, it has this fortress by the water, and you can sit there and you know look out to the ocean. And there were a bunch of other people there, and my friend just lights the J. And today I would never do this because you know it's illegal where I live, and you know there were cops pretty much all around. But he just lit a J right there, and I remember fucking stressing out. I don't know if you've ever had this, but have you ever been so high you kind of stop hearing and kind of disappear into your own head, and it feels like you're walking in a hallway, kind of?
Not really.
It's a very strange feeling, but basically you lose feeling of your body when walking for a long time. It's fucking strange.
Oh my
Anyways,
god, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's a bit different from me. Yeah, but I know
Yeah,
what you're talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, I have
Um,
had the same feeling. Yes, like the voices around you get like distortion, and you can't.
yeah.
It's like if you have tinnitus or whatever.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah, it's pretty insane. And I remember doing that, and you know, I literally walked around for 3 hours trying to evade some police horses that probably were very far away. And as I got on the subway, I remember sitting down. I was still fucking blasted, right? And this guy looked at me, and he stared at me, and I was just like, act natural, right? And I looked out the window, and I got up at my stop, my subway stop, and he got off too, right? And I remember just sprinting, right? You know, have you ever just done that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like completely bolted when you have a bad
Yeah.
feeling on weed, dude. I think
Not
that
on
was a
weed,
good
but
decision.
on
Not
other
on weed,
stuff.
but yeah, other
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's not get into those stories though.
Yeah, no, that's
That's for a
that's a
different
different that's a
podcast, I
that's a
think.
different podcast. Yeah, yeah. That's my story.
I
Anyways,
okay, I've done a lot of stupid shit while high because, believe it or not, I've been high a lot. Okay, so
No shit.
I've had my fair share of stupidity. But the funniest stupidest moment I probably it was pretty recent. I was outside by a creek by my old house, and I was sitting on like the tubing that connects the creek under the road, and I was smoking there, and I was just like enjoying nature. It was a pretty cool spot to smoke, you know. It was pretty dope. I liked it, and it was pretty cold. It was about to get wintry, so fall-ish somewhere, and I started walking home, right? But then all of a sudden, everything hit at once. I was smoking some heavy indicas. If you know me, I smoke indicas all the time. And yeah, walking home, getting pretty chilly. Indica hits me like a fucking Boeing 737 in my face. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, I need to get home right the fuck now, or I'm gonna fall asleep on the asphalt. But I was running like Naruto because I thought it would go
Holy
faster
shit.
if I was more aerodynamic. So I was running like Naruto with my arms fucking way on from in the back of me, like looked like a broken bird of some sort. And then I
Broken
ran.
Bird, that's my rap name.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can take a shortcut through the hedge. Oh my god, yeah, I'm so smart." And I just run full speed into the hedge, and it fucking stops me dead ass in my tracks. It's literally fucking wood, just wood. Like there's no
Yeah.
room to get past here. I just dunk and I fell back. Couldn't breathe. I was like, oh my god, what? And I got upset with the trees because I was like, I'm part of nature. You're part of nature. Why are you hitting me, dog? And I couldn't get over it until I got home. I was pissed off at the fucking hedge for hurting me.
I would have
Yeah.
paid to see that.
It was fun. Like I do
Yeah, me
stuff like
too.
that all the time. Once I was walking home from my friend and I thought I was in a samurai movie and I was like swinging katanas at evil spirits while walking home. Like I would, man, yeah.
Oh my god, that's insane, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that kind of stupid I do all the time. I get into my own little world and I'm like I'm in a movie or I'm in a song, or if I'm listening to a song at the time, I can transfer myself into the song. Like it's weird.
Definitely, dude. I can totally relate to that. Like yeah, definitely. But you know, while on the topic of stories, I have a pretty good story, which fits the topic great. To all you listeners, I have very bad memory. It might be because of weed, might not be, but I have very bad memory. So I apologize if I told this story in the first podcast, but um, it's about being on weed and alcohol at the same time, which at least for me is a pretty it's a pretty interesting experience to say the least. So I was at a party, and I got pretty drunk, and the party got boring. So I went home to this girl, right, and I brought weed, and we got fucking we started blazing and shit, and suddenly I lost feeling in my body, and I stopped being able to move properly, and it was the weirdest experience in my life, right? And this girl, she puts on I don't I think this it's called Maniac on Netflix, and I just remember, kind of like my eyes seeing it, but my brain not being able to interpret it, and I couldn't lift my arms. It was like getting roofied. It was
Damn.
insane. Yeah.
Damn, that doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it was not that fun, and I was just like, because I thought, Maniac, the show on Netflix. I just felt like it was too complicated for high and drunk me to just kind of understand. So I was just like trying to get her to change it, but she couldn't understand me because okay, I'm gonna try to replicate the sound I made. And I was literally not able to speak. It was like it being so drunk you can't understand yourself. So I
That
feel like
sound.
I feel like the weed
It
kind of
sounded
amplifying my
like
drunk.
it sounded like the fake cowboy language you spoke as a kid. Rap why what swear.
Yeah, definitely.
The
Yeah,
Sims.
no. It was
I
fucking
got
weird,
this.
and it's a pretty scary experience, but it's not that scary when you can't even feel scared because you're so fucked. Like it's
Yeah.
I would not be high and drunk at the same time if I were you, because it's just not fun. It's just you gotta ride it out. You have no control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
I
like crossfading anything. Like usually when you mix 1 plus 1, it doesn't equals 2 for me. Like
Yeah.
one substance plus one substance is almost always a bad time. I don't know.
Yeah.
My body can't handle it. Like my brain gets weird. It breaks.
Yeah.
I crossfade kind of frequently, but like it's only when the high of the weed is wearing down, I like grab a beer or two and I feel just drunk instead of high.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like you can build a tolerance to crossfading.
Yeah.
On pretty
True.
much anything. I think there are exceptions when you get onto the topic of like other drugs, but yeah, I think you can build a tolerance to pretty much anything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean,
However, I'd never drink whiskey or something while high. That would just be dumb.
the
Yeah, so you only
best.
do soft alcohol when you're high.
I wonder what would happen if you smoke like a heavy indica, like a widow based strain or whatever, and you're about to hit the couch lock, and then you just down a Red Bull vodka
Oh
and cover
Christ,
everything.
that
I
would
wonder
not
if
be that would not be nice to your heart.
nah, but I wonder how it would feel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I regularly think about how insane it is that we can amplify our minds like this. You know, it's pretty insane that a plan exists, you know, and a substance exists that can either, you know, just completely you know, fuck you or you know, make you laugh or you know, give you visuals. It's pretty insane
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
what you can do with yourself if you get the right means.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as with everything you ingest, be it alcohol, weed, coffee, whatever, right? Like, if it affects your brain, you have to take into account the set and setting before you do it. How's your mindset? How is your mood? Where are you? Are you safe?
Yeah,
Check all
yeah,
that out. Just fucking have a good time. But if you're like a bit anxious, or if you're in a place that you're not very familiar with, and you're gonna smoke a joint for the first time, you're gonna have a bad high because that's what happens.
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Mm.
I mean, you can be with friends that you care about and stuff, but yeah, it's important to check this inner list of where am I, how do I feel.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago when I was under 18, I had gotten caught for smoking weed, and the laws in my country dictated that I wouldn't get a record if I, you know, went on tests for 6 months and you know, laid off. And you know, after doing those tests, I decided to never do it, you know, on public property anymore, to avoid getting, you know, caught for that. And I remember making an exception, and I smoked behind this really ghetto like tennis court thing,
mm?
and suddenly I see a man with a dog, right? And it was like a German Shepherd,
Oh,
and you know, like I don't work out, but I remember fucking bolting faster than ever then. Like it was insane. You know when like a deer is drinking water by the river and you know a crocodile comes up on your
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like that. I was just like bolting in less than a half a second. Um, yeah, it's insane.
yeah, and I bet you felt paranoid as fuck even when you got home, right?
Yeah, right. It's like
Yeah,
if you smoke, especially smoke in a new situation, you're gonna get anxious and you're gonna freak out, especially if you're like me and have an anxious mindset and a past of not having luck smoking on public property. That's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Ooh.
I've been riding the CBD wave for a bit now, and yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a good alternative if it's legal in your country, or whatever. And here in Sweden, you can have up to a year of personal use at any given time, and you're completely safe by the law and whatever. So, I mean, for the people who live in illegal countries and can't get the THC, CBD is a really, really good, valid replacement. Uh, because even acquiring weed in an illegal country can be anxious as fuck. It can just not be worth it
Yeah.
definitely.
at the end of it all.
Yeah, especially like mail order and shit. Like
Yeah,
I have many friends who've gotten busted buying weed by mail.
yeah,
It's yeah, it can be very ghetto. And I mean like a lot of countries have you know open sale of it, while some have prescription based CBD treatments. So like uh, the world's turning around on this. I feel like.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
the EU thingy, they have the 20th of March, I think, is the deadline for them to officially give their stance about cannabis across the EU. And then, I mean, I expect nothing but them to admit that it's medicine, because look at the countries that are legalizing. They're big countries
yeah.
like Mexico, Portugal, Canada. The US is starting like all over the place.
South Africa.
Yeah, and like countries that have influence usually.
Yeah,
So
no, it's the traction is getting big. But
yeah.
back to our topic, and if you want, if we want to combine that with the global politics, why do you feel like alcohol is so socially acceptable, while weed is considered the devil's lettuce?
Mr.
Well,
Lettuce.
Yeah,
um, personally, this might be a bit radical, but I think that people are just doing what they're told. People have been told that if it's legal, it's safe, and
Yeah,
that's the mark that they're going by.
yeah, I'm
yeah,
with you on
yeah,
that one.
Yeah. They
definitely, I
don't
agree.
care to research it. They don't care if you put up the facts. They would just counter argue about it, like, okay, so why is alcohol legal and weed isn't? And then what do? You can't just like, well, actually, because they won't listen. Because they just want to have their fucking rum and coke and sit and masturbate in the corner. That's what they want to do. So fine.
Sounds like something I want to do. Jeez.
Yeah, but best of both worlds. Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's like, and I also think it's because it's been there the entire time. I mean, alcohol in some form has been there since pretty much the beginning of time. I mean, there are animals that are pretty much alcoholics. Like they eat fallen fruits which have fermented, and they just
Yeah,
go around and do that. It's insane, um,
absolutely.
how long it's been a thing.
Yeah, it's very integrated into our culture. Like if you think about it, um, you go to a football game or whatever, and then you go to the pub before the game, and then after the game, like you just get shit faced. Like it's so into like, especially in the UK, Scotland, um, France, Italy, like the wine culture is so integrated into like society as a whole. It's just like,
Yeah, and it's like
yeah,
the rum and whiskey of the British Isles and Caribbean and everything. It's like
yeah, exactly.
a very culture-based thing.
And it makes the government a lot of money. The taxation of alcohol is a very valid income base. Like there's no joke. And I honestly, personally, think that's a factor why they don't care, because it just gives so much revenue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and weed does too. But like, I do think that's pretty much an essential thing within societies, because taxation needs to be on every stimulant. Pretty much, we need to have
Yeah,
a nicotine tax. We need to have an alcohol tax, and we need to have a marijuana tax because
we need to have a
um,
pharmaceutical tax that is so high that they don't won't prescribe Xanax to 16-year-olds. Like
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
definitely. And that's the thing. Like everyone is escaping from something, whether they're just bored, escaping from boredom, or real life issues. People are always going to use stimulants. Some are going to abuse them, but anyway, you can fund a whole society with stimulant taxes.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, was it Portugal that legalized every drug?
yeah,
Like
I
they
think
just
so.
like everything is legal, and like the drug crime rate dropped by like 90%, like the week after. Like,
yeah, definitely. But you
but if you
know,
think about how much resources does it cost to bust someone for 5 grams of hash, that's a lot of resources going for a stupid ass cost, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like, if, for example, my country, they have special officers just going around looking for people smoking weed, and
Yeah, that's so stupid.
in over 90% of those cases, it's just kids smoking weed, because most adults have indoor places to smoke it, but it's just a waste of
Yeah.
resources. Anyways, we should not get too much into politics.
Yeah,
politics
yeah.